It freaks me out that so many users never customize the toolbar or the sidebar. It's a shame because they're two powerful features common to all Finder windows. If your sidebar and toolbar look the same as the day you got your Mac, you're about to see how to make them useful. And for those of you who have customized them already, here are some of my favorite ways of making both even more useful. I won't bore you with the feature by feature description of every toolbar and sidebar feature. Rather, let me show you how I make the sidebar and toolbar work for me. Okay, you probably know that you can choose View, Customize Toolbar to add or remove items from the toolbar. What you might not know is that you can also add any folder or file to the toolbar by holding down the Command key and dragging that item onto the toolbar. If you look, I've added Dropbox and Work, two folders, to my toolbar, which makes it easy for me to drag files or folders onto either folder or open either one with a single click on the toolbar. The Command key is also the key to other useful toolbar tricks. For one, you can rearrange the items on the toolbar while the customized toolbar overlay is open, but it's often faster to just press down the Command key and rearrange them without opening the customized toolbar overlay. The Command key is also the key to removing items without the customized toolbar overlay. To get rid of an item, just press the Command key and drag it off the toolbar. When you release the mouse, the item will disappear with a satisfying poof. Here's one final toolbar tip before we move on. If you often forget what your toolbar icons mean, choose Icon and Text from the little pop-up show menu in the lower left corner of the customized toolbar overlay. This will display the item's name below its icon, as shown here. Or hover the pointer over any item in the toolbar for a few seconds, and its description will pop up as a tooltip, even if you don't say show icon and name. One last thing. If you try to drag a file or folder to the toolbar and it won't stick, chances are you're trying to drag an alias, and that won't work. Instead, go find the original file by clicking the alias and choosing File, Show Original, or using the shortcut Command R, and then dragging the original file onto the toolbar. Now, let's talk about supercharging your sidebar. Many users underestimate the convenience of the sidebar and never bother to customize it. That's a big mistake. While Apple populates your stock sidebar with some useful folders, if you really want to make it useful for you, you need to populate it with the folders you use the most. So to add a folder to the sidebar, WSM in this example, drag the folder onto the sidebar. Now, make sure that it's positioned between two folders and that you see a little line between the folders, like you see on the left here. When you release the mouse button now, WSM is going to appear in the sidebar between the two folders where the line was, as shown on the right here. Now, here's the rub. If you drag the folder onto another folder in the sidebar column, in this case onto the column fodder folder, rather than dragging it between two folders, which would be Dr. Mac columns and Mac Observer columns in the figure that you're seeing. Okay, now, if you release the mouse now, you'll move the WSM folder into the column fodder folder, not add it to the sidebar, and then you'll be really confused about where it went. Remember, the Finder offers undo, so undo or Command Z if that happens, but it's pretty easy once you get used to it to look for the little line and make sure that you're not putting the folder into another folder, rather you're putting it in the sidebar. Okay, now moving right along. By the way, when you put something in the sidebar, it doesn't move it from its location on your disk. It's just like an alias, but the alias appears in the sidebar. Moving right along, to remove a folder from your sidebar, just drag it out of the sidebar until you see a little X and a circle appear. When you do, release the mouse button, and the folder will disappear with the aforementioned satisfying poof. By the way, folders in if I didn't mention this already, I think I did. Folders in the sidebar are aliases to the actual folder. So removing a folder from the sidebar only removes the alias from the sidebar. The folder itself remains where it was, wherever it was, and untouched. The thing that makes the sidebar uniquely useful is that whatever you put in your sidebar for Finder windows, as shown on the left, also appears in the sidebar of Open and Save dialog boxes, as shown on the right. So my sidebar is always in a state of flux. For example, I add project folders like WSM for Working Smarter for Mac users when I'm actively working on them, And then when I'm done with that project, I remove them from the sidebar. I also add folders I frequently save files into. For example, my column fodder and recipes folder. The point is, there's no reason not to add those folders you use regularly to your sidebar. Just remember, remove the ones you don't use all the time to keep things from getting crowded and messy. Last but not least, sharp-eyed viewers may be wondering why I have several folders in both the toolbar and the sidebar, and the answer to that is, why not? I use those folders more than others. Having them available in multiple places just makes things more convenient. There's no penalty for it. You can have multiple aliases. You can have stuff in the toolbar, on the desktop, in the sidebar. So why wouldn't I make those folders that I use the most available in all the places my fingers might be at any given time? Of course, my way is not the only way. It never is. My point is to show you what you can do, not tell you how you should do it. As always, your mileage may vary. So let's move on. And our next lesson is working smarter with files and folders.